many of these things are there?
17. And counting after Godzilla.
17?
So the most likely direction the Godzilla Apple Plus series is going to take is following Monarch as it starts to discover more and more Titans in the world after the events of Godzilla 2014. Now, it's not known how many of these were known before Godzilla 2014, as with Shinomura. They must have known at least about a couple of these guys, right, before the events of 2014, but it's mentioned in King of the Monsters that there are 17 known Titans lying dormant at that point. So in these two videos, I'm going to collate everything I can find out about these mysterious Titans, take a look at what they are and where they are, to see if we can figure out if they will play a part in the new show. It's possible, but probably not. I don't think so myself. Maybe though, but who knows? Probably not. So let's start with the one, the only Loch Ness Monster, or Titanus Leviathan as it's known in the Monsterverse. So the immortal legend of the monster that lives in Loch Ness could be given a fresh spin here. The Loch Ness monster is usually portrayed as a kind of plesiosaur, or perhaps an elasmosaurus, because incidentally a plesiosaur isn't that much bigger than a person if you discount that big long snaking neck. Anyway, this description would tally with Monarch's codename for this beast, a leviathan nearly always having an elongated body to help it slip through the water, which of course opens a possibility to this being the Monsterverse version of Manda. If I recall correctly, Manda was always like in the English Channel or in the North Sea as well, so I guess that would kind of stand to reason there too. Although it was originally referenced as a creature in the Bible, the term Leviathan has also been used to reference whales. Leviathans are not as dangerous as a school of randy dolphins. Oh, and it was also the name of the living ship from Farscape. Do you remember that one? That's awesome. Do you remember that grey woman in it? She was hot. Oh no, now I've seen her without her makeup, I'm disappointed. So next, we have Outpost 61 in the Yunnan rainforest in China, and Titanus Masura. And as Mothra had a fairly prominent role in King of the Monsters, I'm not going to dwell on her too much, but suffice to say that Masura is the name that is given to her by the natives of a small Indonesian island that worship her, and that the name itself means giver of life. Next, in Outpost 65, resided Titanus Sekhmet. Hailing from Cairo, Sekhmet was traditionally a warrior and healing goddess in ancient Egyptian mythology, a solar and war deity, depicted as a lioness whose breath was said to form deserts. It's quite likely that, as with Rodan, this titan is biovolcanic and has been rumored to be the Monsterverse's incarnation of King Caesar. Wouldn't that be cool? And I just wanted to look at this drawing from BioZolrak97 because I really like the concept behind this. Like, it's a really nice fusion of the big cat feline vibe, like he's got the saber teeth, but it's also got these quills here, like from a king cobra, and these reptilians, so it's a really nice fusion of the two. It's even got these Egyptian eyes, which I thought were a really nice touch. Well done. Now, in Outpost 66 in the Manpupuna... Did I write that down wrong? Manpupuna rock formations in Russia resides Titanus Amhuluk, which is a bonkers-ass monster no matter which way you look at it. Like, this thing really deserves his own video because he's quite something. I mentioned him in my last video, the fact that he's pretty much a shape-shifting foliage monster held together by telekinesis. And yeah, let that one sit and simmer for a minute. It's like if Professor X was just like, oh, I'm going to concentrate real hard. Give me that tree. Give me those fucking leaves over there. Give me that fucking... Just makes like 2 new legs for himself. Give me those carnations. I'll take that rose bush, bit of bamboo, those tiny little mini strawberries that you get in the forest. Shut up, Storm. I know what I'm doing. Then in Outpost 67, we have Titanus Methuselah. We caught a glimpse of this living, walking mountain in King of the Monsters, waking up and breaking up from beneath the Bavarian Alps. And like Amhuluk, this is another creature that is a hybrid of sorts, with Methuselah being described as a Titan rock plant hybrid. Its name would suggest that Methuselah, sharing the name with a biblical figure that lived for hundreds of years, is also a very old star, is ancient, even more so than the other Titans, but the true significance of the name remains unknown. Now let's turn our attentions to Morocco and Outpost 68 and Titanus Baphomet. Now this one could be crazy because it's an alternate name for Satan, taking the form of that goat-headed guy, you know, the statue that you see all the Satanists worshipping. I read somewhere that it was a goat-headed demonic entity worshipped by the Knights Templar, but in truth, this was a fabrication to incriminate the Templar as worshipping of a false god, which sounds like, you know, political shit-flinging. In Outpost 75, we've got Titanus Mokele Mbembe. Appearing for the absolute briefest of cameos in King of the Monsters was this titan from Sudan. Thankfully, it is featured in the Godzilla vs. Kong novel, where it's described as a grey quadruped with a pebbled reptilian back, and with a head resembling an earless elephant, with this massive trunk and its tusks pointing down instead of up. Each of its feet possesses 5 claws, and its front legs being slightly longer than its hind legs. The tail of Mokele Mbembe is 2/3 the length of its entire body, and he can use it as a whip to slice through, you know, helicopters among other things, and a pyramid even. His mouth opens up like a crocodile and reveals thousands of sharp teeth. Literally thousands, I'm not sure, but you know, thousands. He also has a curved horn on the top of his head, which pulsates with a faint green glow. In the book, it shows how versatile its massive trunk can be when it grabs helicopters buzzing around and crushes them like they were nothing. Then in Outpost 91, under Mount Fuji in Japan, we've got Titanus Yamata no Orichi. Now, here's another very interesting one residing under Mount Fuji in Japan, as Yamata no Orichi is rumored to be a dragon creature with no less than 8 heads. The name can be traced back to a Japanese legend from 680 AD, where a family were forced by the gods to sacrifice a daughter to the Orichi every year. And it's said of this creature, and I quote, that it had an 8-forked head and an 8-forked tail. Its eyes were red like the winter cherry, and on its back, firs and cypresses were growing. As it crawled, it extended over a space of 8 hills and 8 valleys. And I love this old legend stuff, I really do. Anyway, there's also a mention somewhere here of how, after being awakened, it hunted down a cruise ship with, and get this, with its pack. So could there be more than one? Could it be like Camazotz, that is followed by a horde of smaller bat-like creatures? And I've seen Yamata no Orichi portrayed like this several times on the internet now. Like as a kind of a worm with a mouth in the middle, and then all of the heads are these kind of smaller tendrils branching off of that. And I can't figure out what design this reminds me of. I've got a feeling it's something from The Mist, perhaps? Not sure. Anyway, next we have Outpost 92, an Angkor Wat in Cambodia, which houses Titanus Typhon. Typhon is an important figure in Greek mythology and is the father of Scylla. Although, as with all the other ones, there might not be any connection between the Monsterverse versions and the mythology versions. According to the legends, though, Typhon was a cruel and powerful beast who engaged in an epic showdown with Zeus, who defeated him with his thunderbolts. After that, he was buried under a volcano. Historical descriptions of Typhon vary, but most share the image of Typhon being a serpent-like creature with 100 heads. Typhon is also sometimes depicted as a monster with a humanoid torso and a head, and in some stories, Typhon is a winged, fire-breathing creature. Up next in Outpost 99 under Ayers Rock, Australia, Titanus Bunyip lies peacefully dormant. So the name Bunyip comes from Aboriginal folklore, literally meaning devil or evil spirit in Aboriginal language, and is a legendary monster that lurks in rivers, lakes, and swamps. It's often represented as uniting the characteristics of a bird and an alligator. It has a head resembling an emu with a long bill, at the extremity of which is a transverse projection on each side with serrated edges like the bone of the stingray. I don't know what that means. I don't know, maybe that makes sense to you. Its body and legs partake of the nature of the alligator, with the hind legs which are remarkably thick and strong, and the forelegs which are much longer but still of great strength. It's believed that the bunyip is quite close to a dinosaur called the Diprotodon. And honestly, based on this description, I am none the wiser. It's like an alligator fucked an emu and then had a stingray baby. I don't know. So guys, we're round about halfway in this list, and if I had to choose one of these creatures so far that I would want to see in the Apple Plus series, it would probably be Yamata no Orichi. I already love the lore behind this creature. I love the Japanese connection. I'd love to see how the Big G copes with a monster with 8 heads. So let's round it off there. I'll try and get part 2 of this video thrown together ASAP. And in the meantime, make sure you let me know if you think any of these are good enough to see the light of day in the Apple Plus series, or whether they should all just stay dormant for a little while longer. So until then, please feel free to get out of my head, and I will see you very soon for the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and cheerio, bye!